Y'all, don't sleep on this iced coffee. Chameleon cold brew vanilla with almond silk cream, sweet and creamy. So good. What's going on, Slay Babes? It's Ashley and welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, we're going to take a step back and film an affordable makeup toot. I'm going to be doing like all affordable makeup all over my face. I've been using a lot of high-end makeup and I really wanted to go back to my roots, use more affordable products so that way we can look extra without paying extra. You know what I mean? Today's video is also going to be inspired by my iced coffee. I took a picture for the gram recently. I'll put it up right here and you guys loved it. So it's going to be a really pretty smoked out bronzy eye, very, very highlighted skin and just like full on glam. I'm also stoked about today's video because I am filming it in partnership with e.l.f. Cosmetics. You guys know I use e.l.f. actively on my channel, so this is such a natural integration for us. So if you guys love this video, make sure you guys give it a big old like so that way I can film more videos just like it. Also subscribe if you haven't already, and with that I'm gonna zoom you in because we have a lot of stuff to get through, so let's go. A little FYI, they're doing loads of construction on my street, so if you hear trucks going by, all of that, just ignore it. We'll get through it. Hopefully they don't interrupt this video too much. I'm gonna first start off with skin prep. Now the first thing I'm gonna use is this right here. This is by e.l.f. Cosmetics. This is the Hello Hydration Face Cream. This has hyaluronic acid in it, so it's really going to moisturize your skin like no other. I really do enjoy using this. I am going to just take it onto my cheeks and really work it into the skin. All right, so following that, I'm gonna go in with a little bit of face oil. I usually do my face cream and then I put face oil over top because the oil really helps penetrate that moisturizer deeper into the skin. I'm gonna use this right here by e.l.f. This is my first time trying this out and I'm really excited. This is the CBD facial oil. It says 100 milligrams and it says it is a rich facial oil to help calm the skin. I do have a lot of redness going on, especially because I do struggle with acne, so I'm really hoping that helps. I'm going to take maybe about 2 to 3 drops and I'm going to press it into the skin. Wow, it smells so good. Ooh, so far so good. I'm loving the way that my skin is looking right now. It looks very fresh, dewy, and hydrated, and that is all thanks to e.l.f. Shout out to you, boo. So while I wait for that to really soak into the skin, I'm going to move on to eyes. But first, I am going to prime. I already did my brows off camera, by the way. I just applied a little bit of a brow marker just to create fine hair-like strokes. And this is kind of what I've been doing to my brows. You guys really like it. I honestly don't do much to them, but I'm going to prime my eyelids. I am going to use the Revolution Pro Eye Elements Eye Primer in the shade Core. This is going to mute out my eyelids and really prep them for eyeshadow application. So I'm going to take just a little bit of this and just use it to prime. You could also use this to clean up the brows a little bit, but I've been liking more of an undone brow, so I'm going to leave it how it is. Now for eyeshadow today, I will be using the e.l.f. Bite Size Mini Eyeshadow Palettes. I've used this one right here in Pumpkin Pie a ton on my channel, but I recently picked up 2 new shades. I have here Cream and Sugar, and then I also have Truffles. Truffles literally looks so intense. I am all here for it. I'm really excited to try out that black. Now in the picture I posted on the gram, I did use more higher end products in the mix, but today I really want to stick with using affordable products. So I am going to be interchanging between these 2 palettes here, Pumpkin Pie and also Truffles. So the first shade I'm gonna go in with is from the Pumpkin Pie Bite Size Mini Palette. I'm gonna take that light brown shade right there and I'm gonna use this as my transitional shade. I'm just gonna run it back and forth in my crease. I really just want to warm up this crease before I go in and really start intensifying the look. Ooh. Telling you guys, don't sleep on these little e.l.f. bite-sized mini palettes. I feel like they are so good. When they came out with these, I was literally blown away by how well they blend and the overall pigmentation. Now I'm going to go into the Truffles eyeshadow palette, and I'm going to take this shade right here on an M433, and I'm going to start packing it right here in the outer V. This is really going to define out the crease area. I'm not taking it above that transitional shade, you guys. I'm really just sticking it in the outer V. Oh, I really can't get over how well these blend. If you guys have tried the bite-sized mini palettes by e.l.f., let me know which ones are your favorite. I know I was on the e.l.f. website and I really wanted the one with like the pukey yellows and the pukey browns, but it was completely sold out. But if I can find it in store, I'm definitely gonna snag that one up too. So after adding that second shade to the crease, I'm going to go in with my M441 brush and really just soften up these edges. I want them to be nice and blended. So really take your time with this step. I feel like your eyeshadow is only going to look as good as the time you put into it. So take your time and really diffuse out those edges before moving on. Sometimes I feel like I'm an over perfectionist. I can literally spend hours blending out my eyeshadow. Sometimes I'm at a point where I'm just like, okay, that's enough. You need to move on, and I'm kind of at that point right now. So let's actually move on. I'm going to go in with the next shade here from the Truffles palette. I'm going to take this dark brown. You know what? Actually, I'm going to go into Pumpkin Pie. I'm going to take this brown here because it's not as dark as the brown in the Truffles palette. I really feel like whenever you're intensifying a look, you should always go in lightly, build up the color, because it's so much easier to build than it is to take away. So that's why I'm going to start off with this lighter brown instead of the really, really dark brown I showed you guys from the Truffles palette. I'm going to take it onto an angled brush here, and I'm going to start piling it on at the base. And once I have a decent amount of that pigment there, I'm going to go in with a brush and really just start to diffuse it out. I'm actually going to go in with like a blending brush. I'm going to use this blending brush right here, and I'm going to just go in and start to blend. And if you feel like it's time to go in with that darker brown, you definitely can. I'm going to take that dark brown right there from the Truffles palette. I'm going to do the same exact thing. I'm going to build on top of that other brown. And then once I have a decent amount of it at the base, I'm going to go in with a blending brush and blend. I'm telling you guys, eyeshadow is really all about layering colors so that way they kind of melt into each other. So now that I've taken the time to really just smoke out that shade, I'm going to go back into that warm tone brown from the Pumpkin Pie palette, and I'm just going to start blending it in the center of my eye, just right here, just so that way there's not such a harsh transition. I'm just going to go like this. Now I am going to do a little bit of cut crease action because I do want more of a defined crease, but you could definitely skip it. You don't have to do it, but for me personally, I feel like it's really going to take this look to the next level. I'm going to take a little bit of concealer on the back of my hand, and I'm going to use a flat brush and really start stamping out where my eye would naturally crease. You never want to cut your crease too high because then it can look a little unnatural. So I'm going to just stamp it exactly where my eye would naturally crease. I'll look down into the mirror and then I'll look up to make sure I'm doing it correctly. And sometimes I'll even go just a little bit above where my eye would naturally crease just to make my eyes look a little bigger. Now what I've noticed is that sometimes if you go in with way too much concealer, it looks a little messy. You never want the concealer that you're using to cut your crease to literally look wet. You just want to stamp out that lid space and mute it out for your next shade. So I always go in with just a little bit, and then I'll take a brush and blend it into the rest of the shadow. I feel like this just gives me such a better blend. If you create a very stark, harsh line out here, it'll look really wonky really quick, so don't do that. Our crease is nice and cut. I'm now gonna go in with the Cream and Sugar palette. I love this shade right here for like all over the lid. So I'm going to apply it completely dry. I may spray it with some Fix Plus, but I really wanna show you how the shimmer goes on the lid. Completely dry. I love how smooth the shimmers are within this palette. They're not chunky or gritty, and they're not like crumbling off my eye. I feel like that's really important whenever I go in with the shimmer. If it crumbles, then it's gonna crumble all over my eyelashes, and that's not the best look. I find that these don't do that at all. They're very, very, very creamy. Very, 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 very Now you guys know how I feel about like my glitz and glam. So I'm gonna go in with the liquid eyeshadow by e.l.f. This one is in the shade Flirty Birdie. It is one of my favorite liquid eyeshadows. Now the thing about liquid eyeshadows for me is I don't love to go in with them like straight with the applicator because I don't love to pile on a ton of this. I feel like a little bit goes a very long way. So a little trick I like to do is I will take some of that liquid eyeshadow on the back of my hand like this, and then I'll just tap a little bit on top of that eyeshadow for a little bit of sheen. I don't love to go in with too much of this because I feel like it can look wonky really quickly, and that's with any formula. That's not simply talking about the e.l.f. one. I do feel like the e.l.f. one is really pretty. It's not chunky at all, and as you can see, just adding a little bit of that added a little bit of shine to the look, and it really took it to the next level. So that's exactly what I'm going for. I do have a liquid eyeliner here from e.l.f. I showed this in a haul a few videos back. I did pick this up because I've been on the hunt for a really good black eyeliner, and I heard so many great things about this, so I'm going to bust this open today. This is the Expert liquid eyeliner in the shade black. If you guys have tried this at home, let me know how you guys feel about it. Do you love it? Like, what's your favorite black, like jet black matte eyeliner? I'd love to know. So opening this up, this is a brush tip liner, which is definitely my jam. I do prefer brush tip liners over felt tip, especially when I'm working with glitter. So I'm just going to do a thin line of this. I'm going to go all the way across. So that eyeliner went on really well. I definitely feel like it's super black and right up my alley. I am going to go in with a little bit of black eyeshadow from the Truffle eyeshadow palette. One thing I really love to do, especially if I know I want to line my eyes, but I still want the look to be very smoky, is I'll go in with a flat definer brush like this. This is an ABH number 20. I'll pick up some of the black eyeshadow, and then what I'll do is I'll tap directly over top of that liner just to soften up the edge a little bit. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start really tapping out the edge just so that way it's not so stark and harsh. And this definitely makes so much of a difference, you guys. Definitely try it out if you want to use black eyeliner, but you still want it to be somewhat soft and smoky. So this is what this eye looks like with a little bit of that eyeshadow directly over top of the liner. And this is the other side with just the liquid eyeliner. I really love this side, especially when I'm doing like a soft but smoky eye look. So just a little tip if you want to just experiment a little bit. I know black can be very intimidating, but if you take a little bit at a time and really build it up, it's not as scary as you may think. Going back into that Truffles palette, I'm going to take the dark brown and mix it in with a little bit of the black, and I'm really going to concentrate this right here on the outer edge, just like this, just really smoking this out a little bit more without bringing it too high. I'm going to go in with a makeup wipe, and I'm going to clean up all of the fallout underneath my eyes, and I'm going to sharpen up this edge right here. And then we'll move on. So one thing I did in that photo that I remember is that I really accentuated more of like a brown smoked out liner in that look. So I'm going to take the dark brown from the Truffles palette on an angled brush, and I'm really going to start right here. I'm going to bring it out just like that. And then I'm going to bring it in like so. But I'm also going to take more of like a blending brush to really soften up that brown because I don't want it to be overly intense, but I still want that brown eyeliner to really pop. So it's kind of like it goes from dark black to a light brown. You see what I did? Really pretty. So for the most part, eyes are done. I am going to move on to the face before I actually pop on false lashes and mascara because I don't know what it is. Whenever I do my base makeup now, I feel like I'll get concealer powder all in my lashes, and then it's just a pain in the butt to try to clean up later. So I'm going to do that at the very end. We've already prepped the skin with moisturizer and that CBD oil. My skin feels incredible, by the way. I'm now going to go in with face primer. The face primer I'm going to use today is the e.l.f. Jelly Pop Dew Primer. This recently came back in stock on their website. I was not playing games, you guys. I went out and picked up a backup because this was out of stock for a little minute, but it recently came back and I'm almost out of mine because I love it so much. I feel like I recommend it in a lot of my videos because it is a spot-on dupe for the Milk Hydro Grip Primer. So if you've been wanting to try that, but you haven't been wanting to spend the extra coin, definitely go out and pick this one up by e.l.f. I feel like it is a great primer for longevity. It's kind of like glue for your skin, but it's not as tacky or sticky as glue, but it really allows the foundation to stick and adhere to it for a long period of time, and that is why I really love it. I live in Florida, so sometimes I feel like finding a good primer is hard to come by, but e.l.f. really did nail it. Okay, we have that dew primer on there. I'm going to go the extra mile and I'm going to go in with a little bit of the e.l.f. Poreless Putty Primer just right here where I have slightly enlarged pores. I really love this primer. It is a cult favorite. Earlier this year, they did also come out with the Luminous Primer and also the Matte Primer, but I really love the original one. I feel like it does a really good job at filling in my pores and smoothing out this area. Now the color corrector I'm going to use is by LA Girl. This is in the shade Peach. Go figure. I'm going to take a little bit of this, especially onto like my scarring and stuff. I'm getting a little pimple here and over here. Sad day. But a peach color corrector is really just going to cancel out all that darkness. You guys know I really struggle with acne scarring. Anytime I get a pimple, I will literally scar. And it's such a sad story, but I mean, it is what it is. I've definitely found a method of covering up the scars whenever I wear foundation. I'm also going to take this like right alongside my nose area because as you can see, it's a little dark in those areas and especially underneath my eyes. And I am going to put on quite a bit of this because I am going to essentially blend it out with something else. So I'm really just placing it where I want it and then I'm going to start blending. I'm going to move on to foundation, and the foundation I'm going to use today is by Catrice. This is the HD Liquid Coverage Foundation. I have mine here in the shade 040 Warm Beige. I love that it's a dropper. When I tell you a little bit of this stuff goes a very long way. It is very full coverage, and while it is a fluid foundation, it really just gives you maximum coverage, which is very shocking because it is so fluid. I am going to take the e.l.f. Total Face Sponge to blend this out. This is like my favorite sponge for blending out products. I can't believe how much it costs for how well it works. It's unreal. It just goes to show that you really don't have to break the bank to feel and look good. You can really get quality product on a budget. So holla at your girl. Look at that. Do you see the coverage? Unreal. I'm going to take a little bit more for the other side. Also going to take some down the center of my face. Okay, that's enough. Now, speaking of maximum coverage, I'm going to go in with the e.l.f. 16-Hour Camo Concealer, which is definitely a cult favorite. This one here is in the shade Light Sand. I'm going to take just a little bit of this like that. Now this is pretty light for me personally, so I'm definitely going to be doing some intense highlighting with this step. I'm going to take a little bit onto the back of my hand here, and then I'm going to take my sponge, dip it into the concealer, and then I'm going to blend. I find that I don't really need this to set all that long simply because it's already super full coverage. It does dry pretty quickly, so I do recommend working very, very fast when blending this out. All right, so now that I have that all blended out, I'm gonna go in with powder. Now the powder I'm gonna use today is from the Creme Shop. This is in the shade Translucent. I used this in a first impressions video and I was really impressed with the coverage of this powder. It didn't cake up or get funny or anything like that. So I'm gonna use this to set my under eye area. The pressed powder I'm going to use today is the LA Girl Pro Face Powder. This one's holy grail for me. I really do love it. I feel like it gets the job done and it also gives me additional coverage. I'm going to take the Total Face Sponge by e.l.f. I'm going to swirl it into the powder. Actually, that's a lot of powder. And then I'm going to start pressing it onto the skin. This is going to give me additional coverage, not like I need it, but I'm an all or nothing type of girl. Like I really love to go full glam, and if I'm going to go natural, I'm barely going to put anything on. I'm also going to take some of that face powder onto my nose since it is my skin color. I don't want my under eyes to be like too stark. So I'm also going to just dab a little bit of it underneath my eyes to, you know, tone it down a little. Let's go in with a little bit of bronzer. I'm going to use the e.l.f. Cosmetics Primer Infused Bronzer. This one is in the shade Forever Sun Kissed, and it literally is the perfect shade for me. I'm going to take it on this contour brush by Sephora Collection. It is such a great brush to apply contour. I had no idea. I'm going to take some onto my forehead. I'm going to try not to give myself a bronzer helmet. Don't get too carried away with this because it will be very easy to create a helmet. I'm also going to take some right here just to chisel out my cheeks. I'm really going to need to zoom out here in a second because I'm just like super close. Like my tooth is like, it's waving. One thing I really need to do now that we're slowly getting out of quarantine is to start wearing my retainer. I also need to trim my nose hairs. Let's be real. Y'all weren't even gonna tell me, but I could see it in my viewfinder. I did zoom you out just so that way we can kind of get a feel for how the look is coming along from afar. It's so funny because anytime I would travel, and I would travel with, I don't know if you guys know Belinda Celine here on YouTube, I would do my makeup and I would be like super close, and then I'd step back, and then I'd be super close, and then I'd step back, and she'd be like, what is this little dance that you're doing in front of the mirror? And it was just because I feel like your makeup looks a certain way super close up, but it also looks a certain way super far away. So that's why I keep you guys super close, then zoom you out just so that way we can kind of get a feel for what's going on with the face. I am going to go in with this blush right here by Almay. I've been loving these blushes recently. This is the Healthy Hue blush. This one is in the shade So Peachy. I also love the shade Nearly Nude, but I do want to add a little bit of color to the cheeks. So I'm just going to go in with a little bit of this, and I'm really going to focus a lot of it right here on the apples of my cheeks. I'm going to try not to go too ham though. I've been watching a lot of my recent videos back and I'm like, dang, she's going ham with the blush. So I'm going to try to tone it down a little bit today. Really pretty. I also want to note that I did finish off my lower lash line off camera just for the simple fact that it's pretty self-explanatory at this point. I am, however, going to go in with a little bit of nude liner from LA Girl Cosmetics. This is the Ultimate Eye Intense Day Auto Liner in the shade Super Bright. And when I tell you it is super bright, it is super bright. I'm going to take this right in here just to open up the eyes a little bit. So now that my eyes are pretty much done, I'm going to pop on falsies and also a little bit of mascara. The falsies I'm going to wear today are these right here in the style NYC. These are gorgeous. I also cleaned them up. They took a little bath today. I just put it in like warm water with a little bit of dish soap, and then I ran a spoolie through it and I combed out all of the mascara and the eyeshadow, and they are like squeaky clean. They almost look like new. So I'm going to pop these on. I'm going to use a little bit of my Lily Lash Glue in dark. I know some of you are probably thinking, wow, she lied. This is supposed to be a super affordable makeup tube, but honestly, I feel like splurging on really beautiful lashes are worth it because they really take your look to the next level. You could also use lashes by Kiss. The Kiss Couture line is really awesome. I have some personal favorites, which I will have on the screen if you guys want to check those out for something more affordable. While my lashes get tacky, I'm going to toss on some mascara on my lower lashes. Oh wow, applying false lashes last. That is changing the game for me. Like, they're not ashy at all. I'm gonna use this little lash curler though, and I'm going to pinch my lashes with the falsies. Now I'm going to take a little bit of the Catrice Lashes to Kill a mascara, and I'm just going to blend my lashes in with the falsies. I'm only going to take this at the base though, so I'm just going to go like this because I feel like it makes a really big difference here. The highlighter I was wearing in that image that we're really trying to replicate but more for an affordable price was Balm, the loose highlighter in Balm by Glam Cosmetics. But I'm not going to use that because today's an affordable video. The highlighter I'm going to use is this one right here by e.l.f. This was made in collaboration with Nabella, and it literally is a spot-on dupe for the loose highlighter in the shade Balm by Glam Cosmetics. Thank me later. I did do a dupes video all about it, so if you guys haven't seen that, you can definitely check it out. I'm going to take it on a Real Techniques highlighter brush, and I'm only going to focus it right here just because I feel like when I come right here on my cheek area, it just accentuates a little bit too much texture for me personally. So I'm going to just take it right here. Hello. Do you see that? They did such a good job on this loose highlighter. I'm obsessed. Let's talk about lips really quick. I am going to line my lips with the Intense Stay Auto Lip Liner by LA Cosmetics. This one is in the shade Keep It Spicy. I'm going to line my lips with this, and I'm going to fill them in just a little bit, but not all the way. And for actual lipstick, I picked up the Rose Gold Matte Lip Vault from e.l.f. Cosmetics. I want to say I paid about $35 for 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. You do the math. A really awesome deal. There are so many beautiful shades in here. The shade I'm going to use today is called Praline. I feel like it's going to complement the eyes really nicely, and I love the crayon aspect of this. I will say this is my first time trying out this crayon lip product by e.l.f. and I really like it. Like, it's matte, but it's not overly matte. It still feels very much comfortable on my lips. I do want to add a little bit of shine, so I'm going to go in with the Glowing Lip Gloss by L'Oreal, and I'm going to pop it like right in the center. A little different than the picture I posted, but very similar and like really stunning and beautiful. Alright you guys, and that is pretty much it for my affordable glam makeup look inspired by my iced coffee. Speaking of which, I should probably really get to finishing this so that way I could have lunch and get on with my day. But if you guys want to check out any of the products I mentioned in today's video, make sure you check out the description box down below. And if you guys want me to create any more affordable glam makeup looks like this, make sure you guys give this video a big old thumbs up so that way I know and I can film more videos just like this. I love you. I don't have much else to say except until next time, I'll be sure to catch you guys all on the next one. Deuces.